Hey, good morning, everybody. Second time recording this. The first time I forgot to record audio, so still getting used to all this stuff again. But anyways, I talked a little bit towards the end of last week that I was going to focus mostly on localization, translation stuff, um, and that's what I've been doing. I have variables in place for most of InputMapper. I would say probably about 90 to 95% of it is ready for full localization. Which is great because this is probably the most multilingual, um, most accessible version of Input Mapper that I've done yet. Some of the other ones had some little bit of localization, but nothing that's really, was made to be expandable for the future and all that stuff. So, getting into this right now, I have my language set to Chinese just to see what stuff I'm missing. And you can see that a couple strings pop through as English still, and that's probably because these were added after I did my initial my Google Translate where I filled in as much as I could. But some of these were probably added later. But as long as they aren't in the square brackets, like a variable name in square brackets, that means that these strings do exist in the localization file. They just need translations added for the different languages. So, um, an example of one that might be in or actually all these tooltips. I still haven't done variable names for because, as you can see in these square brackets here, the variable names come from the original English string, and that is too long to use for a variable name. So I'm going to have to come up with something else to use to identify tooltips, maybe some sort of a hash or something, or maybe just the first few words. I don't know. So I'll have to tinker around with that and see where that lands me. But anything else is ready to go for anybody that's willing and able to help with some translations. Um, let's see. Right now, a lot of what I have in here right now is just I pumped it into Google Translate just to kind of fill out some of it, mostly just for testing, just to make sure that I was catching all the variables and all that stuff. So this stuff might not even be accurate. So if you see that I have some Chinese stuff filled in, double check my work because this could say fish, chair, table, lamp. I don't know. So um, yeah, if you guys are fluent in any of these languages, your help would be greatly appreciated because I know Google Translate is not always up to par, especially with like short phrases and all that stuff where there's no context. It gets confused easily. So yeah. But basically, I will go over in another video, probably a completely separate upload that I'll put into the tutorial section, how to fully, like start to finish, how to get all the tools that you need to do input mapper, localization, and translation for me. As a matter of fact, I am very close to the beta stage where I'm going to start rolling all this stuff into an actual installer. And part of the installer might be an option where you install the tools for localization and stuff like that, like some sort of a developer branch where you can select if you want that SDK or the language tools or anything like that. So um, I'll look into doing that as well. But short term, just going to the TX Translate site, grabbing their downloadable utility, and just editing the language file directly is the best way to go. It can also be edited in just a generic text editor because I think it's just a regular XML markup language, but the hierarchy is easy to screw up if you just try to do it in text. So I'd much rather people use the actual tool because the files, once you guys edit it and send it to me, I'll be merging it into the master, and if there's something wonky in there, it could screw up the whole master. Of course, I keep backups and all that stuff, but still. But anyways, I have variables in place for pretty much everything, like I said, except for the tooltips. I also, the only other thing that I don't have variables in place for is things like the channel names, which I don't think I'm going to do because I think this should be pretty much standard across the languages. Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. I could probably be swayed either way on that. I'm not positive yet. And the other thing is the mapping connectors. These names I do need to translate and get localized, but I don't have variables in place for that yet. So that'll probably be my project for the next day or two, is to get these ready for localization. Because kind of doesn't help you much if if you can read the rest of the program in your local language, but you can't add a mapping connector because you don't understand what any of this stuff says. So that fully doable. I don't see any problem with that. I just got to get around to it, which will be the next day or two. So um, that's about it, guys. There's not much else going on here. Still having to balance my time between family stuff and this and work and all that stuff. I do have to start focusing on work a little bit here because I've been taking so much time off. I really gotta make some money to pay the bills. As much as I wish InputMapper was my job, it's not. So that's about it, guys. I will talk to you probably next Tuesday for a regular check-in, unless I get a tutorial video for the translation localization stuff done this week. In which case I will upload that as well. All right, guys, that's about it. Have a good one.